All right. Welcome to our podcast, Moline Method Mic'd. I'm Kelly Moline, licensed pharmacist, functional medicine consultant, mom and wife.
And I am Landon Moline, husband to the one and only Kelly Moline, and father of our little baby Danielle.
Yeah, so this is a fun episode. We're going to go all into gut health and gut healing. But before we get to that, Landon, how was your week?
My week was great. I got to go to my brother's bachelor party, which was lots of fun back in Minnesota. We had a little cabin on the lake and did some golfing. And yeah, it was a great time. Got to get away for a little bit and came back and got back into the swing of life.
Yeah, and I went with on the plane, but then I saw my family in Minnesota, so that was fun to see them. And Danielle's a little bit older now. She's 5 months, and they saw her when she was itty bitty, so it was fun to have them see her doing all the new tricks.
It was nice traveling with her too, because then I got to see her for an extra day. Basically, I didn't have to have a whole day of traveling away from her.
Yeah,
that was great. But now it's just been like recovery mode since we've been back, I guess, early into the week. But
yeah, for sure. And I also went to a breakfast with a mom friend yesterday, and I feel like that really helped lift my spirits. And we have babies 2 weeks apart, and she has a toddler as well. But I think that really helps, just like I said in the last episode, finding that mom community and finding people that you can relate to, and having someone to talk to about mom stuff that you're going through the same thing. Like I said, their baby's 2 weeks apart, so we got to get breakfast and everything and just relate on all those things.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you get to hang out with her and stuff. They have a little boy.
Yeah.
And you call her Danielle's boyfriend, and I don't think I'm ready for that, but
I know.
Tell him to keep it in his diaper.
Okay. Yeah. No, he's so cute.
No, he's cute.
And whenever people see us, they're like, are they twins? We're like, no, not at all. And they're like, oh yeah, they don't really look alike, but it's fun to go out and go do different things together. And it'll be fun kind of watching them grow up together, just because they're so close in age. And we're talking already about like what the first birthday is going to look like and all of that, which we're still a far way off. But it's fun to think about that. But her baby just started solids. And so I'm starting to think about preparing for solids. Since she's 5 months old, typically they recommend around 6 months of age, along with being able to sit up, if they're interested in food, all of those details. So I'm trying to create a plan for solids.
Yeah, it's kind of nice having a friend that is just maybe a month or two in front of you, so you kind of see what's coming down the road. Mm-hmm. And you are a classic over preparer, over researcher, and so yeah, I mean, which is kind of nice when it comes to baby stuff, because it's nice to know what to expect. Because we were talking about, you asked me before, like, oh, what do you think about solids, introducing them, and I'm like, I think it's kind of a guy response, like, well, whenever people say to introduce solids, that's when we're going to do it. So that was my research. But you've been digging into that stuff. So
do you think because I'm such a researcher and over preparer, that kind of makes you naturally take a seat back, because I'm going to kind of stampede it anyway?
Yeah, I think if I was doing it by myself, parenting by myself, I think I'd probably take more of an active role in looking into that stuff, depending on how much time I had. But you dig way into things, because that's just like who you are. You love to study and learn, and I don't know that I'd be going into the depth that you go into when you like look into something, but I'd probably take more of an active role if you weren't such an over preparer. Yeah,
and things that go through my head day to day, I say it's not that serious in my head all day. And I think when it comes to solids too, a lot of people are like, it's not that serious. You just introduce them to a food and move on, and try the next one and move on, which I do want to like have fun with it. And food is fun until one, is what they say. So it isn't that serious. It's not like you're trying to replace the milk at that point. But she did have kind of a rough start in the NICU and started with a lot of antibiotics. And since we're talking about gut health today, gut health is very important in babies too. And we know how it can really affect their immune system, their mental capacity, how they function, and that all it comes from the gut. So starting them young and being conscious about it, I think can set her up for life. So that's also why I'm thinking so much about it. And like I said, she was on a lot of antibiotics. So if we can help repair her gut and heal her gut and then move forward, just starting her off on a good start, I think that'll help.
Yeah, I think I haven't really ever thought about babies' gut health. The only things I've heard or thought about have been like, okay, if you introduce sweeter solids earlier on, it's hard to get them to go for something less sweet, like some of the vegetable baby food that's not sweet at all. So that's like the depth of my knowledge on it. Like you don't want to, if you introduce like high sugar solids right away, they might reject some of the not so sweet foods. But yeah.
Yeah, and that was the only recommendation from our pediatrician, was to start with the not sweet stuff first and reserve the sweet stuff for later, or delay that. So kind of same concept too.
Yeah. Okay, so I know something.
Yeah, that was the only rule she gave me, and she kind of let me go forward with it.
I'm sure different pediatricians have different tips.
Yeah,
and
I think a lot of people do start with fruits, so it's not like you're in the wrong either. I think there's a lot of right ways to do it, but based on what our preferences are, that's why we want to start on that less sweet, more gut healing, low inflammatory kind of foods first.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I know people that started with like sweeter foods because they're like, oh, she's gonna love this, and then they record it and stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that, but just preference and what you're focused on.
Are there any foods you're excited to give her when we start going for it?
I mean, I think the cute videos online of like them having sour stuff is really funny. Like kiwi.
You want to torment her.
Kiwi's not that sour, I guess. Yeah, I want to torment her a little bit. But I don't know. As far as sweet stuff, I don't know like when we'd actually introduce like ice cream and things like that. But I'm sure her eyes are gonna light up when she has it.
So yeah, I think they're doing a lot more research on the sugars, and when I was thinking of sweets first, it was more like fruits, and we can introduce those now. But I think the things with like ice cream and more added sugar, I do want to delay even further.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, I think like the first 1,000 days of life, which to me is like 2.5 or 3.
Goodness.
And yeah, so that's a while. And so I do go back and forth in my head about that. I think it would be worth it. And even if we can delay a lot of that or not serve it at home, but maybe if they go to a birthday party, it's not as big of a deal, and not trying to limit it at other places. But I think just having less of it could also make an impact rather than all or none.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same as kind of adult health, everything in moderation.
Yeah. But I think here we can control our house a little bit easier, so maybe not, which I love.
Speak for yourself, because if she asks me for something, I feel like it's going to be really hard to say no, so that's going to be a struggle.
Yeah,
I've always been like, oh, I'm going to tell my kid no, but then you look at her face and you're like, oh, how can I tell her no?
Well, and I think of that Friends episode where they're feeding Emma, and Rachel's like, oh yeah, she's never had cookies before. And Joey's like, what do you mean? I give her cookies all the time. And she's like, what? I've never given her cookies. He's like, oh yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
We're just going to have to sneak stuff past mom.
No, that's bad. That's what my mom was saying too. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, no.
But okay, so back to my plan on solids, and I might make some videos for like TikTok or Reels or whatever, on this journey and what we plan on doing. But I've heard meat stock is a really good first food because it's really gut healing. It has a lot of vitamins and minerals to help repair that gut lining. I know it's not the most fun first food, but meat stock is basically bone broth that hasn't been simmered as long because apparently babies can't digest bone broth as well. They don't have the enzymes to digest it, and it has more histamine than meat stock does.
Oh, interesting.
But that's something that we'll have to make. And I think you just simmer like drumsticks or chicken bones and stuff in water for a few hours and then have her sip on that.
That does not sound as fun. You are right.
Yeah. We can like spoon feed it or give it to her in a little cup. I know. But that can help kind of set her gut up. And then before each food, we could like do starting foods like once a day, like before dinner or something like that. We could do like a little bit of the meat stock, like 5 to 10 minutes before we give her the actual food to kind of just set her gut up, and then introduce foods one at a time.
Okay. And so that is more beneficial versus just giving her food right away. Why? I mean, will you see the benefits of that on the outside, or is it just you just know that the gut's going to be better set up?
You can see the benefits on the outside. So especially if babies have like eczema, I think that's really common now. So that could be like red cheeks or red spots around like on their body, or dry spots that can be eczema. And so eczema can come from the gut, the health of the gut. So helping heal the gut can relieve a lot of that and set her up long term.
Got it.
But yeah, I want to do less sweet foods. So starting with like some veggies, and there are different ways you can feed babies for the first time, purees and baby-led weaning. And so I didn't know too much about this when I started looking into it. So I was a little overwhelmed by all the options. But again, I think it's not super serious and you can do a combination. And what I've kind of gathered is if you do more baby-led weaning, then they don't get so picky about like textures, and so they could be possibly less picky over time. And then you can actively give them foods like if you're going out to eat or something like that, or just having dinner, making dinner, you can give them like part of it and they can just be part of your family dinner rather than making specific purees for them or buying specific purees for them.
Okay. So did you mention, I guess, what time frame you're supposed to start giving solids or feeding her solids? Or I don't think we covered that.
Yeah, well, it depends. So
yeah, I feel like there's probably a lot of different opinions out there.
I mentioned 6 months, which I think is a newer recommendation. I think older pediatricians say about 4 months. So it depends what you feel comfortable with. But I think a lot of it is like their cues, and if they're sitting up more independently rather than slouching or need more assistance, because if they can't really sit up, they have more risk of choking or asphyxiating on it. So we need to have them sitting up. There's a reflex where they like to push the food out or push anything that's in their mouth out with their tongue. So that reflex tends to go away around 6 months, I believe, too. And I think you can test that by like putting a spoon in their mouth. And if they're constantly just trying to like push it out with their tongue, then they may not be ready. And yeah, an interest in food. She's now starting to watch me eat a lot more and trying to reach for my food. So I think that all is just natural signs that she could be ready soon.
Okay. So it is really dependent on the baby's cues and what their abilities are.
Yeah. And I say she's almost 6 months, but remember that she came 5 weeks early. Yeah. So we have, I think, a little bit extra time, but my pediatrician gave me the go ahead whenever I was comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think we can just try it out and see if she takes it. And if she doesn't, then we'll wait. Mm-hmm. Which is probably what everyone else has to do.
Yeah. And I think too, with like the veggies and all of that, having some like healthy fats that go with it too, whether that is mixing it with like the meat stock, mixing it with ghee or olive oil or avocado oil or something like that, because those healthy fats are really good for her brain health too. So rather than just like pureeing it, or I've also seen where they'll mix it with like breast milk so that it can thin the consistency too if we want.
Okay.
And then baby led weaning, I didn't really explain. So baby led weaning is when the babies tend to feed themselves. So you give them pieces that they can grab, and then they can bring it to their mouths and feed themselves. So you want it like soft enough where they can kind of chew or gnaw on it, because they don't have really teeth yet. But you can give them meat, veggies, steamed fruit, those kind of things too, where it's soft enough, but they can grab it, versus purees, you're obviously spoon feeding them.
You can give them meat without teeth?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work?
I think they just kind of gnaw on it and suck on it and then break it down.
That sounds kind of scary, but okay.
Yeah, and I think...
I'll probably be watching very closely if we give her meat.
Yes, which I think we should anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you should.
And then probably purchasing like a life vac or something that can suck it out if we have any choking, and move on, because that can happen as well.
Yeah, I watched a video on gagging, choking yesterday.
Oh, you did?
It came across my feed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I learned a little bit about, they say gagging is loud, choking is like quiet.
Sure.
So a lot of people freak out that their baby's choking right away, but if they're coughing and making noise and stuff like that, they're probably just gagging.
Oh, that's good to know.
But still good to monitor closely. But yeah, no, it's when they get quiet and they look surprised and they open their eyes real big and stuff like that. That's when something's probably stuck in their airways and they can't breathe.
Have you done the infant CPR stuff?
I used to be CPR certified and we had to do infant for that, but it's been a long time. So I probably need to get recertified.
I got recertified in November for my job at the pharmacy. And so I was very much paying attention to the infant stuff because of this, but it would be probably good just to watch like a video on YouTube or something about infant choking.
Be a good refresher.
And CPR. Yeah, for sure.
Should we move on to our topic of the day?
Gut health and gut healing, specifically leaky gut. And Landon, when we were trying to like think of our topic and our title and all of that, Landon was telling me like we usually start with a symptom, and this doesn't really feel like a symptom. Like, what should we look out for? How do people know they have leaky gut? And that's really hard because we're not always like treating the symptoms, right? We're treating the body, but leaky gut can have a lot of different symptoms that could mean leaky gut. And so I've had a lot of clients come to me. They're like, I think I have leaky gut. I don't know what leaky gut is, but I think I have it. Or they hear about leaky gut. I think people are hearing about it more, but they don't exactly know what that means.
Yeah, I think it's common, but it sounds really scary. So everyone wants to know if they have leaky gut.
Yeah. And so symptoms to look out for, you could have a lot of different, so you could have a lot of symptoms. You could have a lot of symptoms, or you could have one or two symptoms. So it really depends on the person too, but they can have digestive symptoms like the bloating, the constipation, the diarrhea. They could have brain fog, fatigue. They can have anxiety or depression. They can have food sensitivities. They could have joint pain, skin issues like eczema. So there's a lot of different symptoms that you can experience from a root cause of leaky gut.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think just personal, when I did all the testing through you, I was surprised because I feel like we eat pretty healthy and I feel like I didn't have a lot of issues, but I was like, I want to know what's going on with my gut health. So we did some tests. I don't know if it was a GI map that showed it or what, but I was surprised to find that I have leaky gut, or I had leaky gut. And so that kind of shocked me because I thought I was pretty solid on my health. But yeah, so it was interesting to find out and get treated right away.
And you've been having a lot more GI symptoms recently. Mm-hmm. So we're going to start you on a leaky gut protocol too. But before we get into that, I should talk about what is leaky gut, right?
Yes.
So leaky gut is a simpler term for intestinal permeability. So basically your gut lining has holes in it, and so things are leaking to your bloodstream that shouldn't be there. Okay, so you're eating foods, and rather than it just digesting and getting some of the nutrients and absorbing that into the bloodstream, there's bigger holes, and that is falling through. And so we can have the immune system respond and create a lot of inflammation in the body. And it can cause a lot of problems.
Okay. So you want to go into further, like how you
Test for it?
Test for it. Yeah.
So testing, I would do the GI map like you did, and I look for a marker called zonulin. And so I do that as an add-on test on top of the GI map. But yeah, so if that zonulin marker is high, zonulin is a protein, and that it's pretty much like the security gates in your gut lining. So your gut lining should look like a screen door to let the air come through like your house, right? This is going to be my metaphor for leaky gut. We have a screen door so the air can fall through. But if we have big holes in your screen door, now we have bugs coming in your house. We could have a bird coming in your house. It isn't really doing its job by just letting the air come through, but not all the other critters of the world. Does that make sense?
Yep. I like that analogy, that picture.
Yeah. So that's what leaky gut is. So zonulin is the protein that is like the security managers of that. So there are different things that can increase zonulin levels, which make the gates open more than they should or create bigger holes in the gut. And so things that can make the zonulin levels go up or cause leaky gut could be a gut infection or dysbiosis or overgrowth of bad bacteria in the gut. It can be from gluten. Gluten naturally increases zonulin in the body. But yeah, there are things that can increase the zonulin level naturally. So you likely want to either, take out gluten or address those infections or dysbiosis in the gut. That would be one thing. And then other things that can cause leaky gut would be certain medications can cause leaky gut, specifically NSAIDs like ibuprofen, aspirin, and then also antibiotics, and then also and even birth control can cause leaky gut. So there are lots of different medications. And then alcohol use can cause leaky gut. Stress with cortisol can eat away at the gut lining. And so that can cause leaky gut. Over exercising can cause leaky gut.
So there are a lot of different causes of leaky gut, but leaky gut overall is basically what it does. It allows certain things that you want to your body be able to process efficiently to leak out into your bloodstream. Is that what you're saying, or is that off?
Say that again.
Okay, so there are a lot of different causes of leaky gut. It sounds like a lot of different lifestyle things like alcohol, stress, different things you can eat, different medications and prescriptions for things can cause it. But to recap on what specifically happens when you have leaky gut, is it that your body, basically there are certain things that should pass through your intestinal lining and your body needs to process that it's leaking out into your bloodstream? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like too much is leaking into your bloodstream. Okay. So we want to have like those vitamins and nutrients absorbed, and we want that in our bloodstream to do its job, but we don't want like the big molecules. So things that shouldn't be in the bloodstream are, and so your body sees that as foreign.
So when it leaks out into your bloodstream, what does your body do with it? Does it store it as like fat, or like what happens to it?
Yeah, so I'm trying to explain how the immune system reacts. So
Oh,
your
okay.
immune system sees it as foreign, and so it's like this shouldn't be here, obviously. So then it creates antibodies for it, and it can just try to attack it. And so now your body is inflamed because we're creating that inflammation from this foreign thing, and it's always under attack. And now we can have autoimmune disorders, we can have food sensitivities because something is entering the bloodstream that shouldn't be there, and now your immune system is just always trying to attack it.
Okay. So left unchecked long term, does your body just get worn down from constantly trying to attack these foreign things in your bloodstream that shouldn't be there? And like, does your immune system get lowered then over long term if you have leaky gut for a long period of time, or what are the long term?
Yeah, right. We only have so many resources in our bodies, which I've talked about on other episodes. So if our immune system is like the ambulance and fire department, if they are always active, then that's when they get really tired, right? And then that's when, if you do have a serious pathogen that comes, let's say COVID, or let's say another infection that comes, and now our body just can't handle it because your body has been so tired attacking and fighting all of these other things that it shouldn't need to fight.
Gotcha. So leaky gut can be linked to a low immune system. And so you can get sick easier if you have it for a long period of time.
Yeah. And autoimmune disease is when your body is creating antibodies against your own body. So that can also be very much attributed to leaky gut because your body's constantly trying to attack your thyroid or other things like that because things are coming through your gut lining that shouldn't.
Okay. So is this one of the first things you typically try to test for and treat before going to other different symptoms that like a client would have? Or
Yeah, I do like to test for it because I want to see at what level. I typically do see leaky gut, but I can see with that zonulin level like how extreme it is in the person, but you're not going to do harm by doing a leaky gut protocol. So even if their gut is great, we can implement a lot of these lifestyle diet supplements, and you're not going to do necessarily harm. Now, to each their own, and this is not medical advice, but yeah, it's pretty safe option, and we can always strengthen that gut barrier.
got it. Yeah. Sounds like it'd be something good to do.
So I have a surprise for Landon today.
Oh, no.
So we're going to go over some of your recommendations. Okay.
My recommendations?
Yes.
Or recommendations you have for me?
The recommendations I have for you.
Okay, I was like, I don't have any recommendations, so that would be a surprise. Like, don't take these recommendations.
No, so we ordered the supplements for you to start, and we're tapering you up on some supplements. So some supplements that can help repair your gut barrier. So we have a glutamine powder for you. Glutamine is an amino acid found in that gut lining. So by taking glutamine powder, we can help repair that. And then we're also doing probiotics, especially probiotics with a strain called Saccharomyces boulardii. And so that will help repair or help replenish the good guys, the good bacteria, to help fight the bad bacteria in your gut. We're also doing a prebiotic and fiber to feed the good bacteria so that they can replenish more and repopulate. Is that all you're taking for the gut? Oh, and then we're also doing digestive enzymes with ox bile. So that helps break down your food, and then gallbladder support with the ox bile so that everything can be digested well and absorbed well. And that supplement specifically has some liver support and some anti-inflammatory support as well. So that's the supplements, but we can do supplements great, right? Supplements aren't always magic. We have to do more. So here comes lifestyle and diet recommendations that you are probably not prepared for. Now, you are an adult, you're a grown man, and I'm just your wife telling you these recommendations so you can do with them what you please. Okay.
You're not my mom.
I know I'm not your mom. And so you can take this however you want, but we're going to give these recommendations, and this would be like perfect world scenario, and maybe someone out there will find it helpful as well.
Okay, I'm ready. Lay it on me. I can take it.
Okay, so first is removing irritants. Okay, so we already mentioned gluten can impact gut health and can create more leaky gut, and that's for everyone, even someone who isn't gluten intolerant or has celiac disease. So gluten naturally increases the zonulin levels, so the more we can remove gluten or completely go gluten-free during that time of repairing the gut can be really helpful. So gluten is in wheat, okay? So if you see things, it can be in other things too. So seeing things that say certified gluten-free or just avoiding foods with wheat and that kind of stuff can be helpful for that.
Okay.
Dairy.
I don't think I have a ton of wheat stuff.
You'd be surprised what it is.
Okay.
Okay. But what I tell a lot of people too is the more you go unprocessed, the more you know what you're eating. Like if the more you're eating whole foods, okay, then it's naturally a lot easier to go gluten-free, because the more you're eating processed foods, crackers, those types of things, they're putting it in it. If you're eating out, the cheesecake you bought last night, that's going to have like gluten in the crust, right? Or is it's used as like a binder a lot, a thickener. It can be used in a lot of things like flour, all of that. So with the cheesecake also comes the dairy.
I bought the cheesecake for you. I just didn't want you to eat it alone.
I know. That's very nice.
I'm not a big cheesecake person anyway, so.
Yeah.
Take it away.
But yeah, dairy is another one that's just a common gut irritant. So the more we can remove it, you're going to have better luck with a leaky gut protocol and just less bloating, less GI symptoms, and it doesn't have to be forever. And the more you can remove it, the better you're going to feel for the short term, typically.
Okay. Well, we don't have a lot of dairy, so that should be okay.
We do have a lot of dairy-free options, which is great.
I think ice cream is the one thing we have that has dairy in it.
No, we do love ice cream,
Yeah.
but in moderation. But during like a leaky gut protocol, again, to get the most bang for your buck with the supplements and everything, the more you can do with lifestyle, the better results you're going to have. Another one, we talked about coffee already, and you've switched from regular coffee to mushroom coffee. So I'm proud of you for that. Another switch you could do is bone broth. How we talked about like meat stock. You could do meat stock as well, but meat stock for like our baby. And then as the baby gets older, you can do bone broth, but you have the enzymes, so you could do bone broth. And that can help repair the gut lining because it has a lot of minerals.
Talking just like taking it by itself or like having more soup.
Your dog is...
Titan loves to go into the kennel behind us when we're talking out here. He likes to be close to us.
Yes. So bone broth, yeah, you can do by itself or with soup. So some people just put it in like a cup and sip on it. Like you mentioned this morning that you tend to drink a lot of coffee just because it's more force of habit at this point. You like something to sip on, something that's warm. You can do that with bone broth too.
Pass.
Pass?
No, I'll try it. But I'm just still getting used to like this mushroom coffee.
Yeah.
It's not the same, but it's growing on me.
And then removing inflammatory things like seed oils can also be helpful. So, but that does involve more cooking at home because a lot of restaurants will naturally use cheaper oils a lot of the time, like seed oils. So we like to use olive oil, avocado oil. You could use tallow, you could use ghee. All of that could be better for you than the vegetable oil, canola oil, soybean oil, that type of thing. Okay, so those are things to remove.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing. Your salads.
What?
So you like to eat salad for lunch?
I don't like to. I do it because it's just healthier.
Okay, so if you don't love it,
I don't
this
love
could
salads.
be an easier switcheroo. So instead of having a lot of raw lettuce, we can switch it for like cooked veggies, zucchini, squash, cooked carrots, beets, spinach, those types of things, because it's going to be a lot easier on your gut. And raw lettuce or raw leafy greens can be harder to digest, leading to bloating, GI symptoms, and needing more stomach acid, needing more bile, all of that to just break it down.
Oh, I actually like that change.
Yeah. Warming foods, warm veggies, and you're going to get more nutrients from those warm veggies than your salad anyway.
I always thought that lettuce would have been the easier thing to break down, which is why that's what I've had. I would not have thought that that was leading to like bloating.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
So, yeah, we can switch that out. Another thing that you don't love, but you do it for your health, is your high intensity interval workouts. So HIIT training, which you do about once or twice a week, right?
Once a week.
Yeah, which can be great for someone who's very healthy. Which you're healthy, I will say that. But when we're focusing on gut health, do you know why we would remove that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, because it seems like a great thing to do, right?
Yeah.
However, so high intensity training, especially I know you're doing like lots of jumping and high impact exercises, can increase cortisol levels and can spike cortisol. And spiking that cortisol can eat away at your gut lining. So we talked about how like stress and over exercising can be a cause of leaky gut. So so having exercises like HIIT training can also be a component of it. And so just replacing it, you like strength training, weight training, you like golf, you like sauna, all of those are great. And then you can also do some like walking and just kind of take it easy, at least especially just during this time where you're doing the leaky gut protocol, and then implement it back later.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I will take that and file it away. I will take it under advisement.
Okay. I did say that you can make your own decisions with this. So
no, I could try that. No,
Yeah.
it's I feel like that's something that I can hold off on for a while and just do other things. I can easily, I mean, those workouts are not fun.
Yeah.
But
we're doing your leaky gut protocol for 6 to 8 weeks. So it's not the end of the world. It's not forever.
Yeah.
So.
No, I can totally take some time off from those, I suppose. What else?
I know you love your spicy foods.
Yeah.
So
Don't do it.
Spicy foods can be really irritating to your gut, which you probably know. And because a lot of people have gut symptoms after having spicy foods, or it can get things going, right? So, and not avoiding anything with some spice, but let's tone down the spice level. And you can also have spices like turmeric, ginger, cinnamon. All of those are more like warming spices that can be more anti-inflammatory than your peppers and spices.
Yeah, because they lack a kick. Ugh. Okay.
So we're removing irritants and having more foods that are more calming.
Yeah.
For this recovery time, right?
I get it. I can see where this is going, yeah.
And then we mentioned alcohol, which we've talked about. You've wanted to reduce, and not that you drink a ton of alcohol, but you like to have like a glass of whiskey at night or something like that. So I'll give you this floor as well on what you want to do with it. But removing alcohol or limiting it to like 1 to 2 times a night, or not 1 to 2.
1 to 2 times a night. Whoa.
Limiting
We're
it.
going to increase my alcohol content.
Limiting it to 1 to 2 times a week.
Oh,
That can help, just limit the amount of alcohol you're intaking, and then can improve your sleep, can just let your body have more time to recover for your gut.
That makes sense. I figured that one was coming.
Uh-huh. And I've also seen where if you switch out, like you like your whiskey, if you switch it out for like a clear tequila or a red wine, that can also be just a cleaner option for your gut.
Got it. Okay.
And then last one, which you may or may not do now, but chewing thoroughly and not being distracted while eating, because you're chewing, that's starting the breakdown of your food is in your mouth. So the more you can chew and not be distracted while eating can actually have a really big impact on your gut health. So I think a lot of people are eating on the go or scrolling while eating or whatever. So we are more of a distracted society, especially while eating. So slowing down can be really helpful.
I feel like that one I'm pretty good at.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah.
I don't scroll a lot.
And I've mentioned this on my stories somewhat too, but avoiding a lot of liquids with your meals. So a lot of people will try to like drink a lot of water before they eat, and that can dilute your stomach acid, which your stomach acid is to break things down. So you can have more bloating or GI symptoms just because your body can't break it down.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. That one we've talked about that one before. And growing up, I always thought my dad was crazy because he would never drink any liquid during his like supper, during his meal. And like we'd always have like milk or water at the table because like when you set the table, you just naturally set like water or milk or whatever else to drink and help wash it down. Well, he would never drink any until the end of it, when he got done with all his food. Then he would drink. We were like, oh, that's so weird. But actually, it seems like he actually was doing it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's odd. You think that it would help you wash everything down and digest and stuff like that. But yeah, you're actually not supposed to drink liquid while you're eating.
Yeah. And I think we're one of the only countries that has like a drink with a meal. A lot of countries don't.
I think in Europe, like the drinks or whatever are actually like kind of one of the courses. They bring it out as like a separate like course or a separate part of the meal. But yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So those are the notes I had. Also just sleeping. I know we're really repetitive with a lot of these functional medicine tips, but that's just because it's going to help your overall health. So sleeping can help recovery a lot. So making sure you're getting 7 to 9 hours a night. Sleeping before 10 p.m. So getting in bed before 10, because 10 to midnight, you're going to get better quality of sleep than getting to sleep later. So adequate sleep. And then getting morning sunshine can just help reset your circadian rhythm. And I think sunshine is always good. Grounding outside. So going outside barefoot, touching the grass for 10 minutes or so every morning can be really helpful, because the energy from the ground is what we need to have lower inflammation and kind of reset our bodies. So you can do that with your morning sunshine. And I think that's just part of taking life a little bit slower and resetting our nervous system and just doing more breath work, getting away a little bit from social media, all of that.
Gotcha. Yeah. Spoiler alert. I feel like every time you're giving any kind of functional medicine advice, there's always those main ones of like sleep, drink plenty of, like, be hydrated, get plenty of sleep, and like obviously eat healthy, like less processed food.
Yeah.
And then like move and get movement in, stuff like that. But those are always like, those are pretty repetitive when it comes to functional medicine, because that's going to make you a healthier person from the start. But
yeah, when people come to me, I always have to start with that. So if they come to me already doing that, it makes my job so much easier, because I'm like, okay, check, we already have that down. And so now we can get into the nitty gritty, rather than, okay, let's start there, because you're going to improve probably a lot just starting with those things. Like if you're not sleeping, your body isn't going to feel good regardless.
Yeah. So I mean, with any kind of symptom, you could probably go to those 4 things and naturally feel a lot better if you can cover those from the start. But
for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Is that all your recommendations for me?
I think so.
I'm out of the hot seat.
Yeah. We'll see how you do. Will you report back in a couple months and see how you feel?
Sure.
You just started the supplements I gave you, even without all of these lifestyle things, and you told me that your bloating has significantly decreased.
Yep, I feel a lot better already, so
Yeah.
that's good.
And we do have supplements on our website that you can purchase. There's a link to our full script account at molinmethod.com. And
At a discount.
at a discount, yes. I do like to pass that on to my peeps. So you can buy quality supplements there because it definitely depends on what kind of, let's say, probiotics. We want to make sure that the probiotics, which is live bacteria that should be replenishing in our gut. We want to make sure that that is still alive by the time it reaches our gut. And a lot of companies don't do that testing. So if you're just taking it to take it and don't know if it's effective, you're just throwing money down the drain anyway, even if it's cheaper. So I do like to invest in quality supplements because I've seen such a difference in myself, in my patients, in you, all of that.
So you're saying if they don't want to do the work of actually having to research companies that sell quality supplements, they could just get them through you, and then like the ones on your link are quality supplements.
Yeah. And I appreciate the support, appreciate the business if you want to support us in any way, but I could put like a easy protocol to do on there. And so even if you don't want to necessarily meet with someone right away, again, I said this is a pretty easy supplements to take, as in they don't have a lot of side effects, and I'll do a lesser degree just on the website. When I have patients specifically, I can change their doses, and I feel a lot more comfortable with that because I'm seeing them regularly and they can text me if they have any side effects or anything like that. But I'll put something simple on there so people can check it out. If they think they have leaky gut, you can always try it.
Okay. Well, with that, shall we move on to Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have this question came in. How does gut health impact mental health?
Yeah. So I did mention how leaky gut can cause even symptoms of depression, anxiety, fatigue, brain fog, all of that. So most of your serotonin, about 90% of your serotonin, is actually made in your gut. Did you know that?
I did not.
So serotonin is that mood regulation hormone. There are a lot of medications that can help increase serotonin or free serotonin in your body. So that can affect your mental health. So serotonin is created in your gut, but how does that impact your brain? There is actually a big nerve from the gut to the brain called the vagus nerve, or the vagal nerve. And so that most of the signaling, about 90% of the signaling, goes from the gut to the brain rather than the brain to the gut. So the brain is always analyzing how the gut is doing and getting the serotonin from the gut. And so if we have a very healthy gut, then that's going to impact the brain. There's also a lot of inflammatory markers in the gut that I can test for as well. But if we have that inflammation in the gut, that's also going to create negative effects on the brain. So I always want to be really careful about medications that affect the gut, especially the newer medications that people are doing right now with like high doses of GLP-1s for weight loss. That is a big medication that can affect the gut and slow down the gut. So that can ultimately affect your mental health too.
It's pretty interesting stuff. I mean, yeah, it's not thought about a lot, but I think, the fact that 90% of the, what did you say? Serotonin is communicated from the gut to the brain. Mm-hmm. And that's, almost all of it. So it's pretty important.
Yeah. So, and I think there's a lot more doctors nowadays too, that before they start medications, like SSRIs or those types of medication, which are pretty first line for depression or anxiety, they'll start looking at gut health and removing foods that can irritate the gut, removing processed foods, removing food dyes, removing preservatives, because all of that can impact the gut health, which is going to impact the brain health.
Gotcha. So, I mean, there's a bunch of things that come with like mental health, but essentially gut health can directly impact like your mood.
Yes.
And what your like, yeah, I guess mood or mental clarity, all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Got it. All right. Well, that answers that question. Let's move on to dad joke of the day.
Yay.
All right. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Have you heard about the restaurant on the moon?
The restaurant on the moon.
Mm-hmm. Great food. No atmosphere.
We're all about the atmosphere. I go to restaurant for vibes, you know?
Yeah. It's a good one. What do you give that one?
It wasn't super funny, but I liked it still. So 5.
5? Okay.
Like,
I'll take it.
because I agree with it. Because I want to go to a restaurant for the vibe and the experience more than that was great food.
You really read into that dad joke. Like,
don't you agree?
You personalized it.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
Well, thanks for listening today. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends, leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. Visit our website, mullenemethod.com. Send in more Q&A questions on our Instagram at mullenemethod. What else?
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.